Welcome to the Disabled Podcast, starring your host, Christian Reitz.
Hot dog, let's go!
Welcome to the Disabled Podcast, the show that incorporates disabilities with the magic of Disney. Welcome to episode number 4, entitled Resort Hopping. Be sure to use our hashtag the Disabled Podcast when sharing this podcast to all social media platforms. Now again, that's hashtag the Disabled Podcast when sharing this podcast to all social media platforms. And now, here is your host, Christian Reitz. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Disabled Podcast. Now, just like in last time when we had an episode, we talked about park hopping. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about resort hopping at the Walt Disney World Resort. Now, I bet you're probably wondering, well, what exactly is resort hopping? Now, don't worry, I'm going to break it down for you in this week's episode. But before I begin, I want to make a very special announcement for all of our listeners on all of our streaming platforms. This week, in this week's episode, as of this recording, we are officially on iHeartRadio. So if you're listening to me on iHeartRadio, be sure to go back to season 1 and 2 and the beginning of season 3 in the last few episodes and go check out what we've been talking about through the course of each season, and so you can get better acquainted with exactly what we talk about here on the Disabled Podcast. So be sure to go join us on iHeartRadio via the app or online, or even you can even download the app in your car to listen. Now, if you want to listen to this ad-free with no ads in there, you want to make sure that you get a free account so that way you can listen to it ad-free, get that premium subscription so you can listen to us completely ad-free with no interruptions. So now let's get on to today's episode and talk about resort hopping. Now, I know you're probably thinking, okay, well, Christian, what exactly is resort hopping? I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't exactly know what it is. And I've heard people talk about it. Well, let me break it down for you. Now, resort hopping is basically a magical, stress-free way to experience Disney resorts. And really, really, you don't even have to step into a theme park to experience these resorts. It's kind of like a day off kind of deal. Now, with resort hopping, you get to explore the different unique themes of each hotel. You get to check them out, enjoy some delicious meals, and just soak in all of the Disney fun. And plus, the best part, you don't need a park ticket to do it. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the different types of resorts you can visit, how to get around, especially if you're someone with a disability, and some of the rules you'll want to follow for resort hopping in 2025. I'm going to share some of my favorite tips for making it an easy, accessible experience for everyone. So let's jump right in. All right, so let's start with the very basics. Go back to the very beginning. Just start kind of with the basic ground level of what to expect. Now, Walt Disney World, if you don't already know, has 3 main types of resorts, 3 different tiers, if you will. Now, these are value resorts, moderate resorts, and deluxe resorts. Now, each one offers something a little bit different, and of course, you can pick the vibe that fits your family style, or even if it's just you, your style as well. Now, starting off with the first one, the value resorts. Now, these are the budget-friendly options. So these are the cheaper options, but don't let the price fool you. They're still super fun and packed with Disney magic all around. Now, of course, the theming is bold and it's very colorful and vibrant, and you're going to find large characters and iconic Disney imagery everywhere you turn around. And these rooms are simple, but they still do give you that like Disney experience that you're looking for. Now, when it talks about value resorts, you can talk about the hotels that are in that category of value resorts. You're going to talk about your all-star resorts. So that's your all-star movies, your all-star music, your all-star sports, as well as the Pop Century Resort, the Art of Animation Resort. And if you stay at Art of Animation or Pop Century, you're actually in luck because not only does it offer one transportation system, but it actually offers 2 transportation systems, which I will cover here in just a moment. So you want to make sure that you, if you're looking at value resorts and you're trying to do budget saving, really those types of resorts are some of the cheaper options for staying in the Walt Disney World bubble, if you will. Now, the second one is moderate resorts. Now, if you want a little bit more space, better amenities, and a little bit of extra comfort, the moderate resorts might just be your sweet spot. Now, these resorts are a nice mix of affordable, yet they're cozy. Now, of course, when I say moderate resorts, those resorts are going to look something like this: the Caribbean Beach Resort, the Port Orleans French Quarter, as well as Port Orleans Riverside, the Coronado Springs Resort, and the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. Now, transportation here is mostly via the Disney buses, but if you stay at Caribbean Beach, you're going to get access to the Skyliner, which I will cover that here in just a little bit as well. Now, for those staying at Port Orleans, you can actually hop on a boat ride over to Disney Springs if you want to get some food for dinner at Disney Springs. And again, Disney Springs has a lot of, I'm sure I've mentioned this before in previous episodes, but Disney Springs has a lot of great options for food and dining. So if you just don't want to stay at the resort and do the food over there, you can always get on the boat and go to Haleo or Chef Art Smith's Homecoming, or my family's favorite is actually Earl of Sandwich. So these are a few different kind of, I guess, notable mentions of some of the places that you can actually eat at Disney Springs. Now, the third tier is the deluxe resorts. Now, if you're looking to live the high life and really the more expensive life, the deluxe resorts are where you're going to find that high life at. Now, these resorts are the creme de la creme, which offer luxurious accommodations, amazing dining options, and of course, fantastic locations that are very close to the parks. Now, if you're willing to splurge a little bit, these are the types of resorts that you're going to want to get to have that VIP Disney experience. Now, for deluxe resorts, you're talking like the Grand Floridian Resort, the Contemporary Resort, the Polynesian Resort, the Wilderness Lodge, Animal Kingdom Lodge, Beach Club Resort, Yacht Club, Boardwalk, and the Riviera Resort, which is near Epcot. Now, for transportation to these Disney resorts, these are the resorts that are the best connected. So if you're staying at the Polynesian, the Contemporary, or the Grand Floridian, you'll most likely want to take the monorail between these resorts and Magic Kingdom. Now, it's quick, it's easy, and it's an iconic Disney experience in itself. Now, some resorts like Beach Club and Yacht Club, they have boats that actually take you directly to Epcot and Hollywood Studios, as well as there's a walking trail actually from Epcot to Hollywood Studios, which is only about 18 to 20 minutes in length. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, Christian, that's cool, man, but like, why resort hop at all? Like, what's the point of resort hopping? Now, first of all, it's a chance to explore all the unique creative themes that Disney resorts have to offer. Now, each hotel is like a mini vacation in itself, and I've actually seen some videos online of people who do like staycations at the resorts because there's a lot to offer that the parks actually don't even offer. So let's say you're in the mood for some tropical vibes or some like Hawaiian style vibes. That's where you're going to want to head over to the Polynesian Village Resort, or maybe you want to feel like you're transported to an elegant Victorian resort. And that would be places like the Grand Floridian. Now, if you want something totally different and immersive and jungle themed, the Animal Kingdom Lodge is a stunning place with real African wildlife right outside of the hotel, right behind the hotel, right outside the room. So, again, it's a great way to take a break from the theme parks. Now, resort hopping is perfect for those times. Again, when you want to take it easy, have a nice meal, or do some shopping, or just enjoy a quiet walk around the Walt Disney Resort grounds. Plus, if you're visiting during a busy time, you can avoid the theme park crowds at like Magic Kingdom by spending a relaxing day at any one of these resorts. Now, of course, there are some rules to 2025 in the past few years when it came to resort hopping at the Walt Disney World Resort. Now, Disney has made sure to keep things smooth and magical with a few rules to keep in mind. Now, first off, you don't need a reservation to just visit a Disney resort. In fact, you can explore any of these resorts at your leisure, wander around, and check out the amazing theming and enjoy the atmosphere without any issues. Now, there is one caveat. If you do want to dine as of this year, and really in the last year or so, if you wanted to dine at a table service restaurant like the famous Ohana at the Polynesian, you're going to need to book a reservation in advance. Now, Disney's made it easy, of course, to book dining reservations, so you want to be sure to plan ahead for those popular spots. Now, of course, you heard me talking about Disney transportation. So you're probably wondering, well, Christian, why can't I just, Is it possible to just park at the Disney resort if I'm not staying there? And that used to be the case, and that's actually a good question. It used to be the case a few years ago, but as of most recently, especially if you just want to check out a resort or enjoy a meal, um, in 2025, really the rules have been pretty clear that you can still park at a Disney resort, but one small catch is that you'll need to have that dining reservation for something at the resort. So make sure you have a dining reservation. If you do want to take your card, you'll just show it to the security, all the papers, as well as a valid ID to the security guard at the front gate of the resort that you want to go explore and have a dining reservation at. So, for example, let's just break it down like this. If you're going to head to Ohana for a meal, you're going to be able to park at the Polynesian Village Resort for the duration of that reservation. Now, during busy times, Disney may limit parking to only guests who are staying at the resort, especially at popular resorts or when the parking lots are full. So, again, if you're planning to visit during peak times, it's always a good idea to check ahead or consider using Disney's transportation systems like the buses, the Skyliner, or the monorail. And these are great alternatives if parking isn't really available. Now, of course, this is the Disabled podcast, so I got to talk about accessibility here. Now, Disney is known for making sure that everyone can enjoy the parks and resorts, and resort hopping is really no exception. Now, of course, every Disney resort is wheelchair friendly and wheelchair accessible. Now, whether it's ramps, elevators, or special parking, Disney's made sure it's actually really easy for people like me with mobility needs to get around. So if you use a wheelchair or scooter, all of these resorts are designed to accommodate your needs. Now, let's talk about Disney transportation because I've talked a little bit throughout this episode about Disney transportation. So, whether it's the buses, the monorails, or even the Skyliner, those are actually fully accessible transportation options as well. And the cast members there are always available to help if you need assistance. So, again, don't be afraid to ask them for assistance. They really are there to help make your resort hopping experience the best it can be. Now, I bet you're wondering, okay, Christian, so you told me you had some tips for the best resort hopping experience because you've done a little bit, and it's true, I actually have. Now, some of my favorite ones have been actually on the monorail resort loop. So, what we did on one of my last trips was we actually went to the Magic Kingdom and went to the Ticket and Transportation Center. You park there, and you can either go on the Magic Kingdom and Epcot monorail, or this is even one for resort monorails. So for the monorail resorts, you're talking about again the Polynesian, the Contemporary, and the Grand Floridian. So we actually did those. Now, one of my favorite places to go there was the Polynesian Village Resort. Now that resort is, in my experience, was one of the most amazing resorts. I mean, it's a tropical theme, which was honestly for me really cool. It kind of makes you feel like you're in Hawaii. And it's again, it's on the monorail loop, and it's super easy to get to other resorts. Now, if you want to talk about dining options for me personally, one of my favorite options there for food is Captain Cook's, which is basically the resort's quick service restaurant. And by the way, shameless plug, I highly recommend the pulled pork nachos there. But I also do recommend making a quick stop on your way back to the monorail to Kona Island, which, again, in my personal opinion, has the best assortment of what I love, and that is chocolate covered bacon. Y'all, I am just saliving at the mouth, salivating. I can't even speak. I'm thinking about that chocolate covered bacon, y'all. Now, the Contemporary Resort, which was another one of my favorite resorts, was actually the very first Walt Disney World resort to open up on property back when Walt Disney World was created. So now you can access that resort by either a boat to the Magic Kingdom, the monorail, or there's even a special 5 minute walking trail from the Magic Kingdom. Now, of course, there's a few things that I love there. Not only is there amazing shopping, but there's also places like Chef Mickey's, which you can have a dining reservation at, and you can actually meet the Fab Five. So you can meet Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, Pluto at Chef Mickey's. And so you want to make sure that for your little kids who are obsessed with meeting Disney characters, that that is a reservation that you book in advance because those slots fill up pretty quickly. Now, if you're into, say, nighttime spectaculars and you want a good view without actually being in a theme park, the Contemporary Resort actually has a balcony on the second, on the, I think it's the fourth floor of the resort that you can actually go out back and they have a patio that is a big grand view of the Magic Kingdom. So when you go watch Happily Ever After, you can see the fireworks from that resort, from that balcony, and they actually do pipe in the music. And I know other resorts do this as well, like the Polynesian Village and the Grand Floridian Resort. So again, those are just a couple of my favorite resorts to kind of go check out when I do resort hopping. And so there you have it, guys. There's everything you need to know about resort hopping at Disney World in 2025. Now, obviously, it's a great way to experience Disney without the crowds, which I know is a big problem for many of us, especially people with a disability, because it can be hard to get through a crowd, especially if you're in a wheelchair. And now, not only does it kind of eliminate the crowds, but you also get to experience these beautiful resorts, the delicious food, snacks, and maybe you might even discover one of your new favorite hotel resorts. Well, anyways, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me for this special episode of the Disabled Podcast. I'll see you in just a couple weeks on Monday in 2 weeks for another very special episode of the Disabled Podcast. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll see ya
Real soon.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Disabled Podcast. Be sure to use our hashtag the Disabled Podcast when sharing this podcast to all of your social media platforms. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see ya real soon.